Okay, here's another mixture problem. This is example 2, we'll call it. How much water was added to 12 liters of a 35% boric acid solution to produce a solution that was 20% boric acid? So now this is a dilution problem. We're going to dilute what we've got, make it a little bit thinner. So again, we're going to use our VATV table. Value times amount equals total value. And we've got three things we're dealing with. We're dealing with a 35% solution, water, and a 20% solution. So we'll write that down. So we start with a 35% solution. We've got some water. And then we want to end up with a 20% solution. And we are going to start with 12 liters of a 35% solution. So right here we've got 12. So this is the amount of our 35% solution. Then we'll figure out our values. So the value of a 35% solution is 0.35. So 35% of the 12 is the boric acid. That's how much I've got. Sorry about that, 35. Okay, 0.35. Now the water, there is no boric acid, so the way these tables work, remember value times amount equals total value. The value is the amount of boric acid we have in the solution. So we've got 35% of 12 liters. That's how much boric acid I have here. I can actually just multiply that across right now because they multiply across. Or 35 hundredths times 12. That's how much boric acid I have. And we're going to dilute it, so we're not going to change that amount. We're going to add water, but the water has no boric acid, so the value of the water is 0. Now we're going to add some water to that, and we don't know what that's going to be, so we'll call that X liters. So we're going to add X liters. But the interesting thing about this is when I multiply this across, 0% of X liters, or 0 times X is 0, so I'm really adding no boric acid, and that's what we're dealing with in this column, is the amount of boric acid we're dealing with. So I'm adding no boric acid. And this is the 20%, so it's going to be 0.20. That's going to be its value. And that's what we're going to end up with. So how much are we going to end up with? Well, we're going to end up with a 12 plus X. So the amount of the 20% solution will be the 12 liters I started with plus the X liters of water. So that's going to be X plus 12 liters I'm going to have. And these just add down. And I want 20% of that amount. See, this is the new amount, so I want 20% of that to be boric acid, and this is the boric acid I have, so 20% of this amount will be that, because I haven't added any more boric acid. So it's going to multiply across, and that's going to be 0.20 times X plus 12. So we're just kind of keeping and balance the amount of boric acid we have. We have this much boric acid, we're adding some water, and we want the amount we have. We want 20% of the amount we have, the 12 plus X, to be boric acid. So there's your equation. Right, so we can just write our equation down here. 0.35 times 12 equals 0.20 times X plus 12. And again, we've got decimals, so we multiply both sides by 100, so we can move that decimal point 2 places to the right. So 35 times 12 equals 20 times X plus 12. And we can distribute 35 times 12, ends up being 420. And then 20 times X plus 12, 20 times X, distribute, plus 20 times 12 is 240. And then I'll just subtract 240 from both sides to get to isolate my X. And on the left I've got 180, and that equals just 20x. Then if I divide both sides by 20, X equals, and it goes in there 0 9 times. And that's going to be 9 liters. So that's how much I have to add. So you can see that you could always check this. If we add 9 liters to the X, we'd actually have 21, I guess, liters altogether, right? So 9 plus 12 is 21, and then 20% of 21 would be this amount of boric acid. So you can check that out if you want to check the problem. This is the amount of boric acid we have. 20% of 21, because we would have X plus 12, so 21. So 20% of 21 would equal that. So it would check out. Okay? Hope that's clear.